All right, family. All right. Yay, family. How you doing this morning? Right? How we doing this morning, family? Been a while since I done that, so I just wanted to get that out in the open. Happy, right? Happy St. Patrick's Day out there, family. Right? We talking Monday, March 17th, 2025. And we're going to lead off with something because, again, we want to remove, again, we like removing the spook on this podcast. We like removing the excuses. People want to keep making them. That's all well and good, because that's our choice, right? But we just like presenting information here for folks, and then we go on from there. Family, welcome in us who are the 1,100 plus strong, who believe in, right? Who seek after, who love, who search, who hunger and thirst for that which is a different view. Family, welcome in. Speaking on St. Patrick's Day. Today's topic, we're going to hit multiple ones. We had did this before on the podcast. We're going to try to do it a little bit better, a little more concise, right? It's about ever growing. So we're going to hit different ones, have conversations on them, right? Certain things that I got them listed here. So certain things here we're going to talk about and then go forward in conversation in this walk down the road of life, right? First one, dealing with St. Patrick's Day, which, of course, today is on the heels of 316, a.k.a. Stone Cold Steve Austin Day, right? 316, which is, of course, on the heels of Pi Day with 314, right? But, oh, hell yeah, right? Shout out one time to that classic, iconic WWE character. You got to take no guff, ladies and gentlemen. People talk a lot about wrestling and what's staged and this, that, and the other. Again, we always like to come back with the retort here on this podcast that life is very staged. We're not talking about from the maker. Again, people have a problem with this, and we've said this on the outset of this podcast. For those who have started on this is just a good time to plug this in. We're heard on Spotify. We're heard on YouTube. The channel you can find where A Different View is at the at symbol, A Different View 80. All right, that's KJ's YouTube channel. You can find the podcast there. We had an issue with it where we had to make the podcasts public, so we fixed that. Shout out to one of our family members here on the podcast who informed me about it, right? Again, we can have open dialogue, family. This is a forum where we can speak. The inability to speak is what the opposition does during times of battle. You cut off communications, you cut off communication to the town that's being attacked, you do all that kind of stuff, right? We've seen this in science fiction movies, say, i.e. Star Wars and other movies, where you jam communications, right? Again, when you kill off communication, you kill off the lifeblood to organize, right? To protect yourself. This is what it is, y'all. The opposition, does that, again, in order to take over. Is that what you want out of your life, family? Do you want to be taken over? Or do you want to live down here in peace? These are certain things that we have to ask ourselves, right? So let's get into this thing here. Back home, where your boy is from in New York, on Long Island, in the town of Bayport. Now, of course, from what we read in the article, let's just go to it. This is from longisland.news12.com. Okay, and let's just kill the sound here, just in case y'all hear anything come up as I pull this up, because we're not really playing a video per se. When you look this up, longisland.news12.com, right? The article reads, which you can search on your phone, Bayport Chamber of Commerce embarrassed by Confederate flag displayed during St. Patrick's Day parade. Family, as a person who considers themselves a scholar, and when I say scholar, I'm not saying scholar. Matter of fact, let me do this here real quick before we get going and I forget and y'all hear any sounds. Excuse me on that, right? We got to kill the sound. No buzzing in the ears, right? My apologies, right? So, let's make no kind of excuses. We got to get to the point where there's no excuses in our life, right? When it comes to saving money, it's time to get. They use us, y'all. We have talked about this from the jump. They use us to take from us, right? That's how this goes. You're seeing the system working when you don't get paid, and when they give you like 25 cents and all this kinds of stuff, while your CEO makes 1,000% increase on their income and all this other kind of stuff. Now, there's ways you can work around that where you got to take your paycheck and scrape and scrap. But again, that's the life they left for you, right? People start kind of trying to make themselves feel better about it by explaining things like, oh, well, a Christian ain't supposed to have money. This is for Christians now. Or say, the Jew has no problem with this. The Jew knows about. See, this is the thing while we're on the topic here, leading into this whole thing in the town of Bayport, where on Long Island, where your boy is from. Your boy is from Long Island. Okay. Shout out Long Island, New York one time, right? Strong Island, as they say. Okay. You got to understand that the coding, the system is set up for your detriment, not your betterment. Just enough of your betterment to be able to make massa wealthy, and you not. That's just the name of the game. Let me leave it alone. Bayport Chamber of Commerce. Some people are going to get it, some people don't. We use excuses talking about the Confederate flag, whether it was Christian, not Christian, all this. We're talking about using, listen. The Bible tells you to abstain from the very appearance. So now we're going to go back trying to resurrect something that was used. Well, let's, let me let Snoop play in the background here before we keep going. Little Charles Schultz to lighten the mood. All right, and we're back. Let's just do something here. Yeah. Okay. The whole idea is for you to be Master's footstool. That's the name of the game, right? That's just the name of the game. Bayport Chamber of Commerce embarrassed by Confederate flag display. Again, the Confederate flag was used as the lightning rod for the South, which we have said on this podcast, and we'll say it again, that the South had it right, they did it wrong. Okay? You've got to give credit to those who are making you money. And when you don't, you incur a problem. That we didn't make these rules. This is how the maker made these rules, especially for a lot of them in the South who are, especially the Bible Belt, right? This is where, again, when we enter in belief into this, right? Not so much religion, because again, definition of the words. I'm not going to like how people are looking at this and what they feel about it and all that kind of thing. We're looking at the definition of these words, because this is how we've been tricked this whole time, right? The idea is for you to think the thing is holy, when in reality, you're using holy notions to hurt people. So it's time to call that out if you want healing. See, normally a lot of the premise of this podcast is for those who are wanting healing, who are wanting freedom, who want a different view than what you're seeing, right? If you want that, these are the kind of steps you gotta, number one, we gotta separate. Okay, and when it comes to things like the Confederate flag, we're not making excuses. We're not doing none of that. This mess is wrong, right? It's time to help people, the various people groups, heal and remove the poison that is in their minds and their hearts to move forward in a level of peace, even if you've got to love each other from across the street. But this idea of us attacking each other and bombing each other and all that ain't gonna work, right? It only leads to more death and destruction. This is not a perfect world scenario. Another one of these excuses people use. Again, we go back since belief has been brought into this. When you look at the different areas of belief, what goes wrong? The people, right? The people are the ones making the decisions and choices. For those who have an issue with God as compared to, well, God should have made the people perfect, or so on and so forth, that you hear in a lot of different circles of people, right? At the end of the day, it is up to people what we do. All right. This kind of idea that comes out in the Bible with Paul talking about I'm doing what I don't want to do and all that is a description of the duality, as our Asian brothers and sisters say and teach, that goes on in people. So we get that. But you can't, we're talking belief now. You can't enter in this idea that God is a just judge, right? And is judging people based on situations that they are not in control of. That wouldn't be just. It would have to be on the ones that they're in control of. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in control. Listen, we are in control of our health. We talked about the 9 different areas of activity, right, as laid out to us by great black scholars that we discredit because of racism and because of high prejudice and partiality. No different than the partiality shown. See, for this is for our OG people out there, the Catholic, the Orthodox, liturgical folks, since this is Lent season, right? And we're entering into Eastertide and all this kinds of stuff, right? Again, even for our Muslim brothers and sisters that are in the time of Ramadan and so on. Again, we're talking time of sacrifice and purification. We understand. We're not knocking that part of it. But if you're going to hold to the tenets of this thing, then you got to look at life literally as what it is. And what you got is a lot of people who are too partial, not impartial. They're too partial. They deal in broken prejudice, right? All people deserve the foot at the table. And as long as you continue to support this society that has been built the way it is, you're supporting partiality and broken prejudice in its highest sense. That's just what it is. Okay. So we can't then go behind the curtain, Again, shout out to our Catholic brothers and sisters with confession. Yeah, this daredevil born again thing, man. Yo, anyway, we can't go behind the scenes, right? Then act like we're all holy. This is why the story of the Great Samaritan is there, right? You can't act like you're all holy and you're okay watching your brother and sister bleeding and dying in the street. That's not how that works. Shout out to the brothers in Ohio and the brothers and sisters that are arming themselves, man. Listen. Everybody always talks this mess about the victim, so on and so forth, right? When you have the conversation about that bully, when do you spend as much time victim-splaining as you do bully-splaining? Because we got, again, if we talk in balance and impartiality, you got to have that conversation about the bully. See, over here, we're about talking about the bully. And yes, there is also conversation to had about those who have been hurt. Because there's certain behaviors here that you got to change. Okay, we get that. Most of the time we talk on black folks, that's where we talk a lot about that kind of stuff. We understand that the white man had a very serious hand in breaking up your family. Not the only people group that helped with that, but one of a group of, and we say white, we're talking European. Okay, because white and black were made up terms. This is just information we've already spoken about on the podcast. I do suggest folks go back and re-listen to these episodes, right? Just because that happened, again, like the analogy we use, just because Jim is beating up on his wife, Susan, does not mean because I'm seeing it from across the street that I go hop in and beat on Susan. That's not how that works. We can do that now. See, we can do that now. But there is already a pre-woven, thank God it's that way, because people keep playing games. There's a pre-woven consequence or reward for what we do. You try to stop that thing, there's a reward there for that. Might not be here on this planet. This dude tries to shoot you for stopping him from hurting Susan. But at the end of the day, you've done the right thing, right? Just like if you join in. Man, oh man. Never mind. 10 areas of people activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law. Again, all you got to do is look up 10 areas of people activity on your phone or computer. If it gives you a little bit of fluff, because normally it will on certain. It's funny when you look up stuff, right? As you're researching certain things, easier to find. Other things, you got to type in certain words and stuff because they're playing a game. But anyway, Neely Fuller Jr. You can write and just type in by Doctor or by Neely Fuller Jr. It'll pop it up. All right. So we just stopped at labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health. We got to go back to like the black movement. Black brothers and sisters, again, talking about behaviors, right? We go back to the places of power and see how it operated. We talk about Kemet a lot. Go back and see and look how people operated in Kemet. You've got to have see the Constitution, right? When you talk from a legal standpoint, and this is to help folks who get confused on this, is a code. So in legal terms, that's what it means. It's a codified set of rules, right? Because the definition of Constitution is a set of rules. So again, in legal terms, the way they say it, it's a code, because it is. It's a codified set of a codified set of laws. Okay? Rules, laws, so on and so forth. We got to have our own. Again, for those out, and this is why when you look at people who deal in poly lifestyle, right? Just like those who deal in mono lifestyle. There's a certain set of code here. Again, we're not going to act like one is not holier than the other, because both were used throughout humanity, and both were used throughout humanity in high areas of people groups who believe something, i.e. the Jews, so on and so forth. Okay. So we're not going to do that dance. Well, the thing that's necessary to point out here is the idea that you have to have a set of boundaries. Your life is lived that way. Life is like that. You can't just go hop off the mountain without superseding the law of gravity and float. That's not going to work. Right? You got to have a certain set of boundaries. So again, this is why we say on this podcast, dealing in sex, because that's one of them, right? Again, the man has shown you a certain form of sex. There is a form of sex, though, that's been given by the Maker that it's time for us to start studying and finding out. Okay. Again, I'll re-reference a form in which Massa gave you what sex looks like that black woman is a sex mule to keep birthing babies for him so that his empire can increase and yours decreases. So they became bed warmers. They were molested. Their pride and dignity stripped from them. And that was ingrained in them. You had those kids. Don't you think the mamas was telling the kids, don't you make Massa mad? See, we want to look away from stuff, but you're not going to look. You can't see the mole on your face or the blemish on your face or the sleep in your eyes that you need to get out your face before you go to work without looking in the mirror at your face to find those things. We don't want to find those things, but it is in finding those things where you find your salvation. Hey, right? Shout out to these brothers and sisters arming themselves, man. Again, if you have a problem with the Nazi, if you have a problem with the brothers putting the gun strap, then you go talk to the Nazi who has been, and the KKK member passing out flyers for mess over in Ohio, who has been doing nothing but terrorizing and sowing those seeds into other people's minds for as long as they have been allowed on these holy lands. Let's continue into this article here that I found yesterday, right? Searching through my social medias. Parade director Lenore Ringer Paricio says the chamber was unaware of the display and immediately removed it when they were notified. The image that you will find when you see, which I find actually somewhat comical, because again, it's about removing the illusion. We're living under an illusion, family. You think this thing is about the free and the brave. No, they killed the free and the brave. And now they, quote unquote, live freely on land taken and stolen, right? We can keep doing the mental hokey pokey as much as we want to, the mental mambo as much as we want to. This is what it is. And the results of that act and us supporting said act, which is a challenge for us all, this is what we got now. The healthcare's out of whack. The education's out of whack. Saying what it is. Right? Let's go back into looking at the economics is way out of whack, right? Yo, again, we keep making these excuses. That's fine. The entertainment is out of whack. They done messed around with entertainment so much. Again, we're not taking a shot at homosexual and transgender people right now, neither. The labor is out of whack. They got you working from sun up to sundown, just like they had your ancestors like that, right? Just like they had your elders like that. Just working. You ain't making no money. You making them money, but you just working. Tired. Work my fingers to the bone. That's one of them old terms, man. Law, they know they got you. They got you with law, man. It's so sad. It is so sad. That's what we're talking about as we build the lawyer, the financier, right? Since we just named the economics and law here, man, it's time for y'all got to stop hiding in the shadows, man. Master's money is only going to get you so far. Politics, again, the word politic means to talk about the things of city and state. The man got you on that because you ain't talking about what's wrong in your city and state. Again, you got executive order after executive order after executive order. You know what you'll never see, black man and woman? You know what you'll never see, Latin man and woman? Do you know what you'll never see, Asian man and woman, Melanesian man and woman, so on and so forth? You will, matter of fact, they'll use you. We just finished reading this from Mr. Johnson, right? About poor white people. Now, if you think you think the man is bold enough to say the thing right to your face, what do you think they're going to do with everything else or anybody else? Let me see if I can find it here. Just you know, if you can convince the lowest white man to tell y'all on that slave, never mind. The lowest white man, he's better than the best colored man. He won't notice when you're picking his pocket. That's all y'all in the game. You so concerned trying to hold someone else down, don't realize they're taking from you. This is the power what Fred Hampton was talking about, why the FBI. Talking about you put a dark-skinned brother, you put one of our dark seed, right, our brown seed, as the head of the FBI. Now, do you think it changed? Again, when you are the face of a thing, you're not the owner of it. You're just the face of it. For instance, Shaq is just the face of Papa John's. He is not the owner. Y'all can look it up. Even with Mr. Jordan, as much of a Bulls fan I am, as much of a Jordan fan I am, Jordan is the face of Nike. He's not the owner. That's a deeper subject there where you're talking about different sports players who die with no money. Not because they mismanage their funds, but we're going to leave it alone because a lot of people don't pay attention to this stuff. Some of us some of us listen to this podcast, right? Part of the family here, part of the village, part of the clan, part of the tribe, right? Some of us know it, but a lot of you don't. Do you know why? Because we have been misled through education about what's going on with these deals between the sports player and their agents. Just got to keep it 100, family. This ain't conspiracy. They died with no money. Let's get into this, by the way. This one was done of our own accord. So Bruce's Beach, we had mentioned that, right? What happened in the story of Bruce's Beach, man? What a horrible tale. That is now a public beach. Oh, God help us, man. God help us, man. We got to get so concerned about putting us first, man. The man been wanting us to put them first. It's time for balance to us, to put us first, y'all. This ain't no hating, none of that. Bruce's Beach was an African-American beach resort in Manhattan Beach. I'm reading this right off again, this is all well-documented stuff, but we're just reading it right off of Wikipedia, okay? All you do is type in Bruce's Beach. And again, there's a multitude of articles on this, okay? Manhattan Beach in Los Angeles County, California. Right in LA. Talk about what the Negro can't do in LA, right? Property was located on 26th Street and Highland Avenue, was owned and operated by Charles and Willa Bruce. Shout out to y'all, right? Shout out to your brother and sister, man. Husband and wife, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that one. For benefit of the black community, when racial segregation prevented them from enjoying opportunities provided at other beaches in the area. This is why when we talk on separation. Now, because you live under the jurisdiction of the United States, even in separation, they still gonna come for your stuff because unfortunately they have poisoned their mind with the thought and teaching that you are subjugated. And they are not. So you should not have anything. Again, we mentioned the American Slave Code. You can go back and look at that deal. Matter of fact, one day we'll talk about it. Matter of fact, maybe the next time we'll talk about it, right? And again, we're talking family here. William Charles and Willa Bruce. We're going to take a point to pivot here and just talk about Rusev and Lana one time, right? Or Miro and Lana, or CJ Perry and Lana, right? From WWE, AEW activity. Shout out to y'all one time, right? They had gotten divorced and they just recently got back together. Family, we got to drop the division and the busybodying that we get when we talk on another person's relationship, any of the different relationships, right? Specifically, we're talking romantic ones. We eat too much in other people's business. Massa trained us well in that, right? And instead of getting or giving help and aid to people, no matter what part of the relationship they're in, we'd rather down talk it. That's because we do not know the power of marriage, the process leading up to it. Because you listen to a little box that man gives you, using even the Bible to do it, without realizing that which the Maker gave you. That's two totally different things. I'm bold enough to say it. I know the flack I catch for it. That doesn't even matter to me anymore. Again, people, we have choice. And instead of us down talking these relationships, man, listen, two people separate. Hey, two people separate. That's all right. That's going to happen. Instead of them sitting in an apartment or a house somewhere bashing each other like a WWE match, you disagree, you separate. Clearly in their case, it was for a time so that they may come back together again. That's what the Bible talks about in instances of like sex with a woman's period, all that kind of thing, where you separate. Again, you can spread that out into many different instances. You don't stay separated, you come back together again, lest you allow for temptation, which is a real thing. Again, unless you got somebody else who's going to sit there and have sex with your husband, wife, while y'all aren't. Again, we're talking poly stuff now. Unless y'all will agree to that, right? Then you got to come back together at some point, right? Well, maybe not. And again, even in that, as I'm saying that, there's still respect for each other's family. See, we miss a heart of a thing. We do. And then our actions follow in that missing of a heart of a thing. And now this is what you got. This is why people can say stupid stuff like, oh, you were bleeding heart. I ain't no bleeding heart. This is life. Folks operating with no heart. That's the difference, right? So to give them opportunities in the area here back on Bruce's Beach, after it opened in 1912, it became a successful and popular visitor destination for African Americans. Shocker. Man, we just want a place where we can we, hey, and this is for everybody too, by the way. We're just talking about black folks for a second. We just want a place where we can, and this also includes like intercultural marriages, right? Again, the word used, interracial marriages. We just want a place where we can live, man. Can we do that without the snake eye and the evil eye and the stank eye and all that stuff? Can we drop all that? This is people just living, man. The same thing goes out to like transgender and homosexual people. Just trying to live, man. No. See, this says this. You ain't supposed to be doing it. You can't, again, can you let God be the judge over the thing? Or do you always have to be? Is that how that is? Again, the way Joshua said is for me and my house. So I listen, whatever you do and you and yours is yours, man. What? And that's why we got wasted energy. That's why we got low energy and stuff. Because you're using it on somebody else's stuff when in reality, you're supposed to mind your own business. That's the thing for us all, family. While you still got watch women and watch men, because that's really all this is with these different podcasts talking about life. You got people on the watchtower, just letting you know, hey, this is what's going on. This is what had happened. This is what is happening. This is what will happen. Right? You need that in life. Lookouts. Hey, the British are coming. Okay, let's continue. Continue. In 1924, the city of Manhattan Beach Council used eminent domain. The government got a right to come in, take your stuff for government, right? Maybe we missed a thing or two. So let's just say again, eminent domain, manifest destiny. That's how they use that. Really, a couple of these coincide with each other, just to take, right? So let's just read your definition of eminent domain. A compulsory acquisition of private property for public use. This power can be legislatively delegated by the state to municipalities, government subdivisions. Again, most of the time this is, and all of it really just leads back into the governments of men, right? Or even the private persons or corporations. Again, normally those private persons are linked up with the corporations. That's eminent domain, family. They use that mess throughout all these lands, by the way. That's why Mexico don't look like Mexico no more. While homeboy sits up in the White House and people who believe like that talking about y'all need to go back to Mexico. Mexico was like Oregon, California, or Oregon, depending on how you pronunciate. California, Texas, right? Serious part of Texas. I'll say it that way because again, the Rio Grande was the border between the two. Native territory was Oklahoma. People playing a real serious game out here, right? That this is what this is. And then they brought in poor white people because that's what it was. All of that brought over, right? Many of the friends that we have who are so-called white, their ancestors were brought over here. Talking about immigration and migration, well, everybody got a problem with that now with Venezuela and Haiti and all that kind of stuff that was happening at the end of President Biden's deal and now Donald Trump's deal. Man, that's how these lands was made. Never mind. They used eminent domain to close it down as the area was proposed to close it down as the area proposed was to be redeveloped as a public park. The property acquired from the Bruce family and other owners remained undeveloped for decades. Part of the site eventually turned into a park in the 1960s and renamed Bruce's Beach in 2007. In 2021, the LA County Board of Supervisors, nothing to keep this stuff within their land, right? Nothing is ever voted for, hey, this is the black folks, here you go. You don't see that because that's not the name of the game. You get little itty bitties here and there, nothing substantial because again, you're supposed to be kept on the bottom. Someone else is supposed to be on the top. They voted unanimously to approve returning the county land to their heirs. Okay. Check it out now. So maybe they're doing a little something, right? They voted to get this back to them. The complex process of transferring the parcels to their great-grandsons was completed in 2022. By January 2023, the Bruce family announced their decision to sell the beach back to the county for $20 million. Land so precious on this good earth God has made that was taken from the people living here, and we sold it back. We enriched them because the money you can make off that land is way more than $20 million. But you see, through education and the lack of education on how land acquisition works, and how your finances work, talking the economic part of people activity, you don't know, and the education part of it, you don't know. You don't know that. Do you know who does? The man do. They made up the game. They made up the rules. Of course they do. You don't. It's time we find out the information, family, huh? It's time for the teacher to stop fleecing folks down for money to teach this information and to teach it freely. See, only because you chase after masses money now does everything have to be money generated. But yet then when you talk to the Christian, they ain't supposed to be looking for no money. So I guess the Christian people who know this information, I guess y'all can teach it freely? Where are we at here? 35 minutes. We're gonna come to we're gonna rant. Let me look at the word rant here for a minute, because we said we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna split these things off. Again, this is a continuing conversation down the road, family, right? Rant's definition. Everybody talk about I apologize for ranting. Are you sure? What are you saying when you say that? A rant is to speak or shout at length in a wild, impassioned way. Let's go a little further. That's as a verb from Oxford's dictionary. Let's go a little further. A spell of ranting or a tirade. Okay, we're getting a little closer. What does a tirade mean? A long, angry speech of criticism or accusation. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer. Hey, KJ, what are some of the words that are used in synonym to these words? To mouth off, to yell, shout. Let's see, to go on and on. Of course, the classic phrase we know, to rant and rave. Okay. A diatribe, big old word for just speaking. Okay, now diatribe, again, a forceful, bitter, verbal attack against someone or something. Again, you're speaking out against something, okay? They got forceful and bitter in there. Again, emotion's going to get involved in how we speak, family. So there's that kind of thing, right? Let's shout angrily at length, okay? Like the word rant and rave. Now let's get a little deeper into this. Because you apologizing for ranting, family. See, there is a difference between just shouting and yelling at the air, okay? In this weird kind of, all right? Ranting and raving is what you see a person high on meth doing when they're just shouting and yelling at themselves. That's ranting. Or yelling at somebody in a hazed stupor. That's ranting. That's not what you hear going on a great many of these podcasts or in newspapers or some debate. People don't barely debate anymore. It's hard for folks to, because we can't talk no more. Communicative skills have gone right down the toilet. There's other ways we could say that. But that's a problem, right? So, from the Dutch, ranten is the etymology of the word. Talking nonsense. Talking nonsense. Okay. 1600s, to be jovial or boisterous. This is as a verb. To talk bombastically. Mr. Bombastic, right? This is normally, shout out to our Caribbean brothers and sisters one time, right? Bombastic. It means describing language or behavior that is intended to sound impressive, but is often empty and pretentious. There ain't nothing I'm saying when we talk on how black people have been used. That's no rant. That's not speaking bombastically. We talking about it with empty, pretentious words? No. This is for real. You got to band together, family, or else the man gonna take everything from you. This is biblical. How does the strong man come in your house? When you're unprepared. That's what the verse is telling you. You can look up the strong man story. Let's see. We'll see some more here about the word rant. Dutch, ranting, like we just said earlier, spelled R-A-N-T-E-N. Talking foolishly. Foolishly. We looked up the word fool before, haven't we? There's no tricks. There's no lies. There's no deceit here. Let's just, again, we're about bringing things to remembrance here. And I know we're at the close here. But here we go. Okay. Once you get past, let's see. Again, jester, you see a lot of jester here, meaning jester, court clown. That was used in Middle English like a fool. That ain't, we don't operate in that out here. Right? Mad, insane. There's none of that going on around here. Again, the verb. Now we're talking to noun, what we was talking about before. We're talking the verb here. The sense of beguile or cheating. There's nothing beguiling or cheating when we say fool here, man. We talking people operating in foolishness, beguilement. We telling you the stuff you have is important and you hold on to it. You trade fair value for fair value. Land and $20 million, that's not fair value trade, y'all. People operating in foolishness out here. Oh, yes, they are. Right? To talk foolishly. That's no ranting. No. We ain't talking foolishly out here. To frolic about. This is from the German. R-A-N-T-Z-E-N. To frolic or spring about. Like somebody in a field, The hills are alive with the sound of music. And this ain't none of that. We talking about for real family, y'all being taken advantage of on a daily basis. You're not getting any money back. The little bit that you're able to scrap and scrape into an IRA, which you should be doing, or into a trust, and so on and so forth, and the various different types of trusts, the different types of life insurance that you get and all that kind of stuff to be able to bring money back to you. That's real. That ain't ranting. No, that's people talking. It's time again, the man got you. This is where we're going to stop on that. The man got you to the point where we can't talk no more. You can't talk about your salary at work. You can't talk about anything. Again, when communication separates, this is where the story goes sideways. And that's where we're going to stop. The story of two brothers. We already got you at 40 minutes here. And ain't no need to be going longer than that. 42 minutes. We're going to get into the story of two brothers next time. Okay, and this is a biblical story here that where one brother's hollering at Jesus to make him divide the stuff, right? We're going to get into that conversation. Oh, man. Lord, you make them do right toward me. No, family. That's not what the game is. See, again, the Bible talks about a wicked generation is looking for a sign, man, a twisted one, right? A weak. This is what we got all we need. We are all we need. And it's time that we use the abilities, right, that are inside of us, man, to promote life and godliness, peace and love and happiness, and not death, division, and destruction, right? Definitely not disproportion, malalignment, and just downright taking from people. Right, that's not what this game is. So that's what I got for y'all today, family. Thank you for walking this road with me. We will talk to y'all soon, right? And until next time, as always, look to find the beauty in a different view.